As we all know, a horror game is fully incomplete without a creepy villain. There needs to be something that acts as an immediate threat, something that can come at you from around any corner, or something that might burst through the wall at any second, something that's keeping you trapped and that you must escape. But the act of stalking you down and trying to kill you is not always enough. Would you really be scared of a cute little bunny rushing towards you in a video game despite it trying to get you? Probably not. But if the bunny looked a little bit different, something like this, you'd probably be a lot more frightened. The success of the game Five Nights at Freddy's can largely be attributed to its antagonists, huge, soulless-looking animatronics. But aside from their threatening presence, just by looking at them, what is it that makes them so scary? Is it the size of them? The empty look in their eyes? That smile? Depending on who you ask, the answer might be different. But let's try to break it down into categories first. The way they look, the way they sound, and the way they act all connect and contribute to their creep factor. We'll dive into each of these categories to see what it really is that makes the concept of these mascots so terrifying, yet so intriguing to horror fans. The thing that you inevitably tend to notice first is the appearance of these animatronics. They all look different from one another, ranging from creepy humanoid babies to giant nightmares to cute bears. With variety like this, it can be hard to pin down one singular reason as to how the animatronics add to the creepiness of the entire franchise. One of the many reasons can be the fact that they all fall into the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley is a term used to describe the relationship between the human-like appearance of a robotic object and the emotional response it evokes. When robots appear close but not quite human, people tend to feel uncomfortable or even disgusted. Once the uncanny valley has been reached, people start to feel uneasy, disturbed, and sometimes afraid. It's clear that the animatronics are meant to resemble animals, but anthropomorphic ones. While all the characters have human traits to them, you can easily tell that they're not human, but they're eerily close to it in some aspects. Let's look at the first set of animatronics from the first game. The way the eyes are designed make them look like they could belong to a human, as they miss that cute puppy-eyed look you might expect from a friendly animal mascot. Looking at online forums, people have pointed out similar things in the past. I think it's the low eyelids and the deep-set eyes which are the creepiest to me, since it puts them straight into the uncanny valley. Their eyes and weird open mouth make me feel uncomfortable as fuck. They're scary as shit. They've got those dead, blank eyes and those wide, gaping mouths. They're just freaky. In a thread talking about earlier examples of animatronics, someone mentioned something similar about Chuck E. Cheese. There's no emotion. The eyes of this duck look dead. A crazy look in the eyes. As previously mentioned, their mouths and teeth add to this too. The mouths are never fully closed, showing off the individual teeth. These add to the uncanny realism, as toys that show teeth tend to just have one white bar, if they even have teeth at all. It's such a small touch, but removing those gaps in the teeth already makes the design look a lot less threatening and a lot less human. Add in more toy-like eyes, change the expression just a tad, and it's even better. It's not just about the uncanny valley factor, though. In Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we're introduced to Springtrap, a dilapidated animatronic with hints of a rotting corpse underneath. Just the concept itself is nightmarish. Speaking of nightmares, in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the uncanny animatronics are replaced with overtly scary designs, as they are actually meant to be seen as nightmares in this game rather than friendly mascots. It's possible to connect all of this to automatonophobia, or the fear of human-like figures such as wax figures, mannequins, and animatronics. I'm not saying that every single person that finds a FNAF character scary has this phobia, as phobias tend to go deeper than just general feelings of discomfort. But it's interesting to think about. The same goes for masklophobia, the fear of people in masks or costumes. While these animatronics aren't costumes that are physically controlled by humans, this phobia is often connected to our expectations of human appearance and behavior, and we've already established that these animatronics are meant to have humanoid traits. Masks distort the wearer's appearance, causing him to look strange and unusual. Also, most masks do not feature moving mouths, so when the wearer speaks, the sound appears to come out of nowhere. And the sounds that these animatronics make aren't exactly comforting either.
Just like their appearances, the sounds the animatronics make vary from character to character. Not all of these are inherently creepy, as they can sound friendly and actually talk to the player character.
I don't recognize you. You are new.
But then there are some that talk in a less friendly voice. And those who don't talk at all. In the first game, we are haunted by the deep, eerie laughter of Freddy echoing down the halls. We can also occasionally hear Foxy humming a tune from time to time. In Security Breach, Chica's voice box disappears and she's left only being able to make unsettling mechanical noises. The animatronic sounds are especially important in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, when you actually need to rely on these sounds to figure out where these animatronics may be. The game is very quiet, and the sounds may not be very noticeable, until you get jump scared, that is, so you really need to listen for things such as breathing outside the door. These serve as a gameplay mechanic in terms of audio cues and not just as creepy ambience. This is so you know when something specific happens. There's a laugh you hear when a certain animatronic enters your room. You can hear muffled footsteps outside your door when they leave. There's noises coming from the kitchen when an animatronic is rummaging around in there. Audio as a gameplay mechanic isn't only present in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, of course, and not all of them are quite this subtle. One audio cue that makes itself glaringly obvious is the Music Man's cymbals in Ultimate Custom Night. You don't see him coming, but you definitely hear him as he repeatedly clashes his cymbals together, first slowly as a warning and then faster as your time runs out. At least his counterpart in Security Breach is a bit cooler, as he emits intense yet catchy music all over the arcade where he is located. It doesn't make him any less scary though, especially when the chase sequence begins. The way he moves around on his spider legs is unmissable in this section too, and definitely adds to his creep factor. It just goes to show that the looks and sounds aren't the only things that make the animatronics creepy, it's also the way they can act too.
When it comes to how animatronics act and what it is that makes that aspect so creepy, we're yet again dipping into the uncanny valley. Because they're anthropomorphic, there's this expectation that they move in human-like ways. But seeing as they're mechanical, this is reflected in their janky movement. Cold, unemotional machines determined to find you and kill you. No natural movements whatsoever, just robotic robots here. They look real, but they aren't. Therefore, the thought of them coming to life and being autonomous scares us. But the way they don't move also plays a big part in why the way they act is creepy. This seems to focus extra much on their facial expressions, especially their eyes. Honestly, they're much scarier when they don't move, and they just stare and stare. For me, it's the lifelessness of the animatronics. Something that is lifeless, like a puppet, or the animatronics with the ever-present stare and presence just unnerves me. It feels like it's supposed to move, but at the same time it shouldn't, and you know it shouldn't. It's not just about how they behave, but also the way they're expected to behave. Since they're a constant threat in the game, it's hard not to imagine how screwed you would be facing off against them in a real-life scenario. I think it has a lot to do with the lack of mercy. A human might let you go. These machines will not give you a second chance. They will kill you, and they will feel nothing. There are two types of fear. Fear of the unknown and fear of the known. In FNAF, they take things we know, claws, dismemberment, teeth, and loud noises, and they amplify those things so you can relate them to real life. This can be related to thanatophobia, the fear of death, or phoniasophobia, the fear of killers or being killed. Again, imagining or feeling unsettled by the thought of animatronics killing you doesn't necessarily mean you have a phobia, but it's worth including. Phobia or not, it's definitely scary to have such a remorseless creature after you, especially if you're not entirely sure where they are. In almost all of the games, you don't actually see the animatronics roaming around and in what direction they're heading. You'll just see them standing in one room, then disappear, and reappear elsewhere. Not knowing where they are at all times and the anticipation that they might attack you at any moment is terrifying. What's also creepy is being in the same room as a creature that only moves when you do not look at it, and thus takes its chance to come for you when you turn around. Not knowing where an immediate threat is adds to the tension, not only in FNAF, but across the entire horror genre. It's just very well executed in this franchise. Pairing this with the fact that you only have mere seconds to react if one of them is close by, it's the perfect combination to put players on the edge of their seats. All in all, a lot of the animatronic creepiness can be attributed to the uncanny valley. When that element is taken away, they seem to not be scary to the same degree anymore, which just shows how much fear that factor strikes into people. Security Breach is a good example to use, as the animatronics actually looked more like well-polished entertainers aimed for a children's demographic, rather than something that accidentally missed the mark. That's why I love the FNAF 1 designs. They look convincing enough to be actual children's animatronics, yet they're still as beautiful as Demon Spawn. I guess the same would apply to the toy animatronics, but they just look, I don't know, too toy-like for me. Their movement was also a lot smoother in comparison to what you'd expect a mechanical creature to move like, unfortunately getting rid of their uncanny jankiness. The animatronics were too well made, just as if you were to compare the old Chuck E. Cheese animatronics with the new mascot. These ones look more polished and thus less creepy. Regardless, it seems to be a winning formula to take something originally innocent and safe and twisting it into something that wants to harm you, especially something that doesn't so much as flinch as it subjects you to horrible things. Ultimately, their appearance, their sounds, and their behavior all contribute to one cursed trinity, one that we're unfortunately stuck inside a building with. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and also subscribing. I've got a video coming discussing a slightly similar topic to this one soon, so if you want to see that, you should probably return. I would love to hear what you guys find creepy about FNAF animatronics, so please tell me in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if there's something entirely different that freaks you out about the animatronics, just tell me. I would love to know. Please tell me also which animatronic you find the scariest. I don't know if I have one yet. Springtrap would freak the fuck out of me if I ever saw him in real life, so probably that. Mostly because I don't want to see a corpse. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon.